It's been a long time. It's been a long time, everybody. I am back. I've had a terrible time with Arthur Smith as the head coach. I've decided I'm returning. Now that we have finally made a half-decent decision with this franchise, the Atlanta Falcons have hired Raheem Morris as our head coach. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset about this hire. And I think it's less about Raheem Morris and more about the other people around him. First of all, take a look at these candidates. Bill Belichick. We just missed the playoffs for 6 straight years. You want to bring a guy in for 2 or 3, hope he takes us to a Super Bowl, and then when he cuts himself loose, we got to start all over again. I don't want that. Who wants that? I don't care about the next 2, 3 years. I want long-term success because we've had long-term not success. So that's why I don't want Bill Belichick, okay? Jim Harbaugh, yes, that would have been a home run hire. That was my number one guy. I love Jim Harbaugh. And the fact that we didn't get him is very disappointing. However, it seemed like he was going to go to the Chargers from the get-go, so I feel like you can't be too upset over it. Although Arthur Blank, the guy's got the deepest of deep pockets. I'm sure he could have done something, but it is what it is. Who else? Bobby Slowick. The guy's done it for 1 year. Let's not act like he is a proven head coach material. You see all these guys from the Shanahan tree, and yes, almost all of them have worked out to this point. And so you're like, oh, well, why wouldn't this guy work out? You don't know. The guy's had 1 year of, not an amazing offense, a pretty good offense, but not an amazing offense. And yes, he developed a rookie QB to be amazing. But how do you know how much of that is him or how much of that is CJ Stroud? You don't know until next year. Because if the offense is exactly the same next year as it was this past year, it shows you it might not be the offensive coordinator. That's a high-risk hire because you don't know if he's head coaching material. You look at Ben Johnson. I think it's the same thing. I don't think this guy is head coaching material. Just something about him. I don't know. He just doesn't seem like an Atlanta Falcons head coach type of guy. He can go to Washington. He can go to Seattle. Do whatever. I never saw him being an Atlanta Falcons head coach. Okay, so that never mattered for me. The two guys that I did want, however, are both Ravens. Mike McDonald, defensive coordinator. I think that would have been a home run hire. The dude's got the best defense probably in the entire league. And he's transformed the Ravens defense, turned players into superstars. Kyle Hamilton's one of the best safeties in the league. Roquan Smith is the most dominant middle linebacker in the league out of nowhere, getting production out of the defensive line with Justin Madubuike. I mean, he would have been a great hire. Todd Monken, offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Look what he's done with the Ravens the past few years, or this past year, I should say. Great success story with Georgia. I mean, that would have been a great hire. As for other candidates, I'm not too sold on the others. I think, when you look at Raheem Morris, forget what happened in Tampa. That was over 10 years ago. Oh, this was a long time ago, very early in his coaching career. Forget what happened there. He was dealt a very bad set of cards, and he still managed to make something happen and gave him a winning record season, whatever. Okay, now you look at his time with the Falcons. Defense wasn't great. Yes, the defense was actually terrible, but a lot of that probably has to do with Dan Quinn. Then he becomes interim head coach, goes 4-7. The team looked better, but obviously not NFL material. And so my issue is that Arthur Blank interviewed him for the head coaching position back then and didn't give it to him. So why are you giving it to him now? What has changed since he's joined the Rams that all of a sudden makes him head coach material to you? I think Raheem Morris, to me, and it's going to sound crazy, but to me, he's like a Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, Pete Carroll type of head coach at this point. Clearly, his defense alone, just him alone, he's not good enough to make a defense great. The Rams were not great, although they had a lot of young players, didn't have a lot of draft picks, so he was dealing with a lot of late-round rookies and developed some of them pretty well. And he's got a Super Bowl with the Rams. But I don't think his defenses are good enough and yet to be elite. I think Ryan Nielsen is a better defensive play caller than Raheem Morris is, and we let Ryan Nielsen go. So for Raheem Morris, he needs to bring good staff around him. The expectation, I think, is that he's going to bring Zach Robinson over from the Rams. That should be a great hire. And then, I would like to see a Giro Evero from the Panthers as the defensive coordinator because he's a great defensive coordinator. I think you bring those two guys in, and you've got one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL. You fill it up, just keep some Falcons guys around. Dwayne Ledford, offensive line coach. Jerry Gray's good. Frank Bush is good. Keep them around. They're good coaches. They've developed our players pretty well. It really just comes down to one thing, and that's the quarterback. Forget about what we do in free agency. Forget about what we do in the draft. If we don't get a quarterback, it doesn't matter who our head coach is going to be. And I think this is a team that's a quarterback away, despite whoever the head coach is. I think a mid-tier head coach would be good enough to coach this team deep into the playoffs if we can get a good quarterback. We've got the talent, and we're going to get more talent because we're not up against the cap like we are used to being. And I think Raheem Morris is a good enough leader. My issue with him is he reminds me of a Dan Quinn type of mold where he is the leader of men type of head coach where, it seems like the locker room's good and the culture's good, but the on-field product is horrific. That's the one thing I'm concerned with Raheem. And I feel like he's going to have a really long leash, even if it's, the same thing as Arthur Smith, 3 losing seasons in a row. I feel like he wouldn't get let go because of that. I feel like he's got a really long leash. This really leaks and eeks and whatever of Rich McKay having heavy involvement. It's a questionable decision from Arthur Smith, purely from his own standpoint, to go back on his choice not to hire him back then. So it's like 3 wasted years with Arthur Smith is basically what he just admitted to. We'll see. I'm rooting for him. I think he can be a great head coach. I know a lot of people are not excited for it. At the end of the day, I think it's more about who he hires rather than him himself. If he hires the right coordinators and we can get good success the first year, then we're on a good track. But it's all about the quarterback position. If we get a good quarterback, I think we'll be all right. We'll be a playoff team. If we don't get a good quarterback, we're in trouble. But put it this way. We were 7-10 and a few horrifically stupid losses away from being a playoff team with Arthur Smith last year, who did not utilize the offense well. You bring in a play caller who can make the offense good, have at least a good enough defense, and we should be cooking. So, you can say I'm too optimistic or whatever. It's the same old Falcons making bad decisions. Listen, he's our head coach. You're not going to change anything now by complaining. Just accept it. Move on. Be excited for the draft. Be excited for free agency. See who we get at quarterback. And, let's look forward to September. Let's look forward to a new era of Falcons football. All right, let's just do it.